afternoon, everyone, and welcome to PB at Noon. I'm Paul Benwell, and I'm joined by my colleague, Sophie Caesar. Today, we have with us One World Lithium, listed on the CSE under the symbol OWLI. One World is an exploration and development company focused on lithium in brine projects and new lithium separation technologies. It currently has earned a 60% interest with the right to acquire a further 30% for a total of 90% property interest in the Salar del Diablo property located in the state of Baja California, Mexico. They recently announced the completion of an oversubscribed financing and the resumption of their phase 3 drilling program next month at its Salar del Diablo property. Here to talk with us with these recent updates is Tim Brock. Hi, Tim. Feel free to start whenever you're ready, and we'll have some questions for you at the end.
Hi, Paul. I think you've done a great presentation, so really there's not much more I can say. I apologize. Thank you very much for your patience. Getting us started this morning took an extra few minutes. I do say that this is an excellent time to review the merits of One World Lithium, in particular because we're planning a very aggressive exploration and separation technology advances this year. I think we're all ahead of the market catching up. So it's a perfect time to have a good look at us. The company's mission statement is basically to get as high up the food chain as possible while remaining an independent company. Because if one can succeed at doing that, then you're in a very strong position to deal ahead into the future. Our company has done this. On the Salar del Diablo, we currently own a 60% property interest. The right to earn a further 20% after drilling the next holes, and ultimately the right to purchase another 10% at a bankable feasibility study. With regards to the critical fluid separation technology, we have the right to acquire 100%, which is really terrific. So we've succeeded at doing this, and either project has the potential to become a significant value builder this year. So slide 2, which I see we're at, pardon me. The Salar del Diablo is located in the state of Baja California, Mexico. It's ideally situated. It's 35 or 35 kilometers from San Felipe. San Felipe is a low-cost regional service center with a very skilled labor force. It's also blessed with a seaport. With a small upgrade, we can ship product from there worldwide. Pardon me. Our Salar is 200 meters above sea level. It has paved roads from both Hermosillo, which is 1,000 kilometers to the east, as well as to the U.S. border, which is 100 kilometers north. All this really means is that we're a candidate to be truly a low-cost producer, which is the perfect place to be. This next slide is taken from a location of Diamond Drill Hole 2, looking south down the Salar. You can see it's very expensive. So if we can't see it, but if you look from here down 50 kilometers, you'll find the location of DDH3. So you can see it's quite a long way away. Slide 3, pardon me saying that. This is the view of our Salar, which is 103,450 hectares or therefore 399 square miles. It has the 5 conditions necessary to have concentrated lithium in a brine. So what you have to have, the salar has to be a closed basin. In other words, water can't flow out of it. It has to have hot springs. It has to have a mechanism, which are faults, to deliver lithium from source rocks to the salar. And it also has to be close to a hot regional heat source. And that's it. So moving right along. Oh, this is a picture of a 4x4 skid mounted diamond drill. This is the same rig that was used to drill the DDH1, which made it to 650 meters, which is 2,100 feet. And DDH2 made it to 597 meters. This will be the same drill. It'll be drilling DDH3, 4, and possibly more holes to the south. It has a rig capability of getting to 1,000 meters in perfect conditions. This slide is very important. If we can spend a little time here, we're talking about the location of DDH3. You can see that it's obviously very close to the south end of the property. But what's noteworthy is that if you see to the east of the slide or to your right, you're seeing an enormous ridge, some 12 kilometers long, which is rhyolitic rocks and volcanic tuffs, which are containing lithium. It's probably a significant source of lithium to enter the salar. So the reason that Montgomery and Associates chose this location, and this is a critical thing, is that at this location, there's evidence of historic and current hydrothermal activity, which is often the case to deliver lithium to the salar, not unlike several properties in Argentina, and in particular, 3 of them where Montgomery and Associates was either the operator or did the bankable feasibility studies. So it's probably a bit of a reach, but it'll come up later in the slides. There's a lot of comparisons to those 3 properties to our own. This slide is comparing our Salar del Diablo to the Salar de Atacama. Salar de Atacama is at 8,000 feet. We're at basically 600 feet. But what's interesting is that they're roughly the same size. And at the Salar de Atacama, through 2 producing mines being SQM, as well as Albemarle, they produce 43% of the world's supply today from 20% of known world reserves. And so we feel this is a very interesting comparison. I'm wondering if this slide is slightly out of order. Perhaps we could go to the next slide and come back to this one. I just wanted to review drill results to date. The first 5 holes were drilled with a reverse circulation mud drill, which did not get below 194 meters, so it never intersected any targets. That's no fault of anyone's really, because no one's ever drilled our Salar del Diablo before. So it's an understandable error. However, we did change operators to Montgomery and Associates, who recommended using a diamond drill rig. So on doing that, they drilled DDH1, which is in the northern portion of the property. They got to 650 meters or 2,100 feet. DDH2 got to 597 meters. There were 6 samples taken. The same rig, as we know, are probably being repetitive, is to drill DDH3 at the southern end of the property. So, thanks. I think it's important you recognize the merits of our management team as well as consultants. They have terrific expertise administratively. They've operated companies on both sides of the border. The team has also explored, successfully explored many properties over the years. They will be the project manager for all drilling on the Salar del Diablo. The operator, as you know, has expertise in bringing lithium brine properties to production. And internally, we have the capability of evaluating new lithium technologies, which is obviously a significant thing to do. So this slide just reiterates the rights for us to earn up to a 90% property working interest in the Salar del Diablo. We think we'll be in that position within 2 years to buy the last 10%. Perhaps we could go back to the critical fluid separation technology slide, please. Thank you very much. The company has an agreement to purchase 100% of this critical fluid separation technology, which is subject to a small royalty of 2%. It has a potential to separate lithium from a brine. It's one of the benefits is to this technology does not require the use of evaporation ponds, pardon me, which normally costs $100 million US or more. So there's a distinct savings there. The other unique feature is that the actual separation process will be located on a producing brine property, which means that you can direct ship lithium carbonate from the property to commercial users, which would be a very cost-effective thing to do. I think that's very critical. We are a candidate to become a game changer in the lithium separation business, because we believe we'll be one of the lowest cost technologies, as well as one of the faster technologies. I think it's interesting to point out that there's roughly 5 years ago, there was a real difference in the junior lithium exploration business, where they realized one of the best ways to grow is to be involved in new technologies, so that they can acquire properties of merit and move ahead on that basis. We believe this is exactly what One World Lithium has done. And we think that it'll be a profit center all of its own. The other benefit is that because the process is located on the property, we'll be able to return the waste brine back to its original formation, which will stabilize those structures, but also because of that, create a longer mine life. Thank you. This is a summary chart of our share structure. We believe that the potential values that will be created this year will be able to support the number of shares issued to the benefit of our current shareholders. Thank you. This to me is an interesting chart. I call it the peer group companies, which is not entirely true. There's obviously one or two companies in here that are well advanced. But what is important is gains since August 2020 have been as high as 360%. And the average between all of these is 240%. And the message here is that One World Lithium is underpriced at this level. And on any success, the market would suggest we're going to see a significant value appreciation of our shares. Thank you. This is a comparison of 3 projects that Montgomery and Associates were either the operator of or did the bankable feasibility studies of. It's interesting to me because there's a lot of comparatives that are almost the same, like their internal rates of return are all roughly around 25%. Their present value all approximately $1 billion. Their capital costs are steady at like 450 million, and they have very similar cash flows, and of course their buying life 40 years, which I guess that's because the present value at that point is 0. So there's great hope for us. This is about lithium industry trends. I think that what's significant, so several significant things about this, but the pull-through demand to build EVs is 600% by 2026. By 2030, they expect to produce 12 million new vehicles a year that are either electric vehicles or hybrid electric vehicles. What's not said is that, and it's an interesting message to me, is that 70% of those new vehicles will be hybrids. So that's significant, but it also points out that the purchase of electric vehicles, I suspect, will pick up significantly. This slide here, you can go ahead, please. This is an interesting slide because it's basically showing you how the current car manufacturers are spending $360 billion to build out new production lines for electric vehicles. What's intriguing to me is that the Volkswagen Group, who have made a lot of news recently, are spending $80 billion to do this. But if you look down to Toyota at the very bottom, they're only spending $10 billion because they've been in this business for a long time. including the Prius. So in other words, they've already arrived where other companies are trying to get to. Thank you. This is an interesting chart. It shows that basically the demand for lithium carbonate this year is approximately 380,000 tonnes. And as you can see, by 2030, it's supposed to grow, and I'm sure it will, to 1.6 million tons lithium carbonate, which is obviously a very significant gain. And that's my brief overview. I hope some people are still with us. And back to you.
Everyone's still with us. Thanks, Tim. We do have some questions, so we'll get started on those if you don't mind. The technology proof of concept seemed to get delayed. Could you elaborate on the reasons?
I sort of, pardon me. There's some confidential things that I can't really get to. We are in discussions with two major players in this sector. You're right in what you say, although I suspect we're going to be able to speed the proof of concept up significantly by the end of April. So yes, it's been delayed, but it's understandable.
Okay, good. Well, we'll look forward to hearing that. Why is they're asking about the holes that have reached depth, information on the holes that have reached depth, the two holes?
So I think what they're asking is, why haven't we assayed the samples and released those? If that's the question, it's a difficult subject because we've been raising money whilst drilling holes. So the logical thing to do is to not assay any of those samples until all the holes are drilled, all the assays are done at once and released at once. So that's basically the answer, but I must add that typically in a drilling program, nobody releases assays on a per hole basis. They always wait till they get to the end of some phase of the drilling.
Yes. Sean has a question here. Will the separation technology be used on the mine site that has lithium and brine, or are we waiting to find lithium and brine and then test the technology?
Could you ask me that again, please?
Sure, let me pull it back up. So will the separation technology be used on the mine site that has the lithium brine, or are we waiting to find the lithium in the brine and then test the technology? I guess what they're asking is it going to be, that's an interesting question.
No, I get it.
Okay.
The answer is that we intend to test this technology initially on our Salar del Diablo, but also on many other locations as well. So it's kind of like the cart and the horse, if you will.
Mm.
So but it's a good question because it alludes to what's our business plan. And our business plan really is to license this technology worldwide to existing and future producers. But also there's a side part of all of this is we also intend to use the technology to acquire lithium brine projects that are currently uneconomic, that we feel could be economic by using this technology.
Okay, thank you. Have you hit any lithium bearing brines in your drill holes? What indicates there is the right kind of brine there?
We have intersected brines on DDH1 and DDH2. So that is significant. And as I mentioned, or maybe I didn't, we've taken 6 samples from those 2 holes, which we have not assayed until all the holes are finished.
Okay. Some questions regarding the warrants. Have any warrants been exercised, and is there a force on them?
No warrants have been exercised to date. There are the warrants expire at various times, right from somewhere in March, right through to November. And that's all I can really say.
Okay. Are there any institutional shareholders?
Not big ones. No, I have to say that's not the case.
Okay. And the common question we get across the board, no matter what the company, has COVID affected your operations and you're moving forward?
Well, thank you. That's a very good question. No, it hasn't. We're in an area of Mexico that that is not that is not shut down. Pardon me. The so it is not affecting our operations at all at this point in time. The drill crews are all expected on site on April 1. They expect to do all the preparatory work and be drilling by, say, April 15th at the latest. So the short answer is no, COVID has not interrupted our operations to date.
Excellent. I see Paul's joined us. Paul, do you have a question or two for Tim?
Got a couple for you, Tim. Are you fully permitted on your properties?
Yes, we are. That's a very good question. We're permitted to drill. We've completed agreements with the ejidos who own the service rights. So that gives us the right to get on the property. And we've complied with all environmental regulations. So all that work is done. We're good to go.
Do you have any infrastructure on site already in place?
Well, we got a couple of shovels out there. No, we don't, is the answer. What we're doing is the crews are all housed in San Felipe. We have double shifted the crews to drill 24/7. And it's, as we know, it's a 35-kilometer drive from San Felipe to the property. So the answer is no, we don't have any facilities on the property.
Okay. Well, the last question would be, with the technology that you're working on, is this going to be to produce a carbonate, or what end product is this technology going to produce? And have you signed any offtake agreements, or are you in the negotiations for somebody to take this product once you have it? So I guess really it's what are you going to be producing?
We'll be producing lithium carbonate.
And that's used for what?
I'm sorry?
And that's used for what? Like who's going to take that? What are they going to do with that? That's what I mean.
The customers are all across the board. They're everything from battery manufacturers right through to manufacturers of mobile devices, etc. That's pretty straightforward, I guess. Often what they'll do is the customer will use an ion converter, which will convert lithium carbonate to pure battery grade lithium. And that's basically how the market works.
Okay. Is there any cost difference between carbonate and another lithium product?
There's minor cost differences between lithium carbonate and lithium hydroxide. But I would say they're pretty nominal. If you look at fast market spot prices, they all tend to be pretty much equivalent. So today, for example, and it's a really interesting point, I'm glad you're bringing it up. A cost of a tonne of lithium carbonate today, the price is rising so significantly. Like 2 weeks ago, over a 1 week period of time, it rose 17%. So it's kind of in line with the domestic price of lithium carbonate in China.
I think we had one final question from the audience, and that was just your current cash position and the recent financing, if you could touch on that.
Sure. My recent financing was oversubscribed, which obviously we're very pleased. It oversubscribed by 50%. It was originally supposed to be $1.5 million private placement. It turned out to be a $2.25 million private placement. What that means is significant is that we're fully funded to drill the next suite of holes on the Salar del Diablo. And equally importantly, with regards to the critical fluid separation technology, we're funded right through to what our 2021 objective is, which is to build a pilot plant before the end of the year.
Well, Tim, it's just an excellent story. If anybody out there has any further questions, they can get in touch with us, get in touch with Tim, or some of the other principals at One Lithium. Thanks for your time, Tim. Very interesting story. We'll keep everybody updated with news releases on our end, and hopefully be talking to you again soon sometime.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a great opportunity for us, and thank you for listening to our story.
Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye, gentlemen.